So the Tyndall Centre's Radical Emission Reduction Conference, which is taking place in London in a few weeks' time. The conference is basically trying to get together ideas and practical solutions to delivering radical, rapid emission reductions. We've got about 36 speakers, 10 of whom will be speaking live via a web link. We're going to try and organise it so there's a live web streaming. It's going to be one way at the moment. The team that are involved in sorting out the conference are trying to work out a way of getting questions in live via Twitter, for example. So we're trying to put in practice some of the principles which will go into this travel emission strategy and really start to demonstrate what's possible.
I tried to categorize the connectivity depending on factors like duration, if we just ask you, maximum number of changes, or departure times and arrival times. And we found 4 categories. First one is called convenient, which lasts less than 12 hours. That's the classical direct connections. Maximum number of changes 0. And a little bit longer, namely not more than 15 hours, the acceptable connection, where at least one change is accepted. The committed connection lasts up to 18 hours and 1, 2 or 3 changes are accepted. And some of you are in the voluntary connection, but there are even more than 3 changes and a duration of about more than 18 hours.
I just wanted to reply to the question that you asked, which was about what people would miss if conferences went completely virtual. And I always find, and a lot of you would probably agree, that the coffee breaks are very important to people, because that's where you make new contacts, and especially researchers, that's where they look for project partners and where they exchange gossip and all that. So these things are quite important. And I just wanted to bring in one personal experience. I did attend the Planet Under Pressure conference a couple of years in London, and because a lot of people couldn't come to this, they basically organized local meetings. So you had an international conference, but the people who couldn't had met locally, so they would have this sort of coffee break experience, of course with a smaller circle of people, but still they would meet people from their fields and people who shared the same interests. So that's one possible way of getting around the issue of not meeting in person.
Great, thanks. Yeah, so again, it's another thing that maybe universities could help to facilitate these sorts of local interactions, as well as longer, larger scale things.
Yeah, I think they'd be ideally placed, because you have, they would be able to provide facilities, but also you have a lot of people who work in a certain field that would probably be happy to meet with colleagues.
Yes, it's a different format than what a lot of people are accustomed to, but we, for the most part, have not had much trouble getting people to participate in these types of events. And the fact that we have these chat spaces, and thanks everyone for pasting comments and all that in the chat window, it makes actually in many ways a better conversation, a better event, because people can speak up even while the speaker is talking. And so we can have, often we've had robust conversations in the chat windows throughout the whole talk, and people will go off on a certain tangent and discuss different aspects of it without interrupting the flow of the talk. And I think that's great. I think that just makes for a more efficient, a more productive meeting.
So this is an app. Everybody can show his or her location by just dragging the pin to your location. So we've got Erica based in London, Adam Vienna.
But then another positive point in favour of online working, Mandy Schoenemann says, I'm pregnant and I'm not much able to travel, but I can participate now, so that's a big plus. So that's nice to hear as well. Thanks, Mandy.
I gotta add that to my list of positive side effects of online conferences. I'm afraid I haven't thought of that before.
And the people here which are sharing this session inward in Second Life perhaps already mentioned there is something different to a simple Adobe session like this Adobe session. And that's what I'm calling about. It's about the phenomena immersion.
And if you wonder, like many people coming, what are they doing with a PowerPoint slide shows? Virtual worlds already have such a thing as PowerPoint. I can show you this here. We got here the speaker podium, and when you look behind it, we have control center here. This control center is to control the things you see on the screen. Now here we have the preview in small, that's the icon of the Gifted Children Island, and this is on the big screen. And now I'm not allowed to use that, but if you are allowed and you have a presentation, you can switch the slides by pushing the buttons here. The third thing we have is that we can use normal websites. We got here a media on a prim. We have YouTube running here, and we have a song playing here. This song can be heard inside SL, inside Second Life, so everyone should hear the piano music here. So it is possible to use videos and websites on a screen during your presentation.
I was thinking that your point about the sort of professional need to attend conferences is an interesting one. I mean, there was no professional need to attend all these conferences even 20 or 30 years ago. So that's something that has really been brought about by the availability of easy and cheap and convenient travel. So it's certainly not something that is genuinely a professional need, although I certainly find that when I tell people that I choose not to fly, they say, oh, you know, is that career suicide? Well, I don't know yet. Maybe it is. I hope it's not. But we certainly need people to start thinking about these things. And if the general expectation, as you say, is that it's bad for your career not to be seen at these conferences, or even bad for the institution's reputation not to be seen at these conferences, then there's just no way you can get around that. So we have to tackle the root cause, which is these beliefs that you need to be at conferences.